Okay, we'll start with who I am then. If you can't tell, that is me. I look identical, but the hat's backwards. I started off my career with 12 years in the British Army, so take that with a grain of salt, whatever I say. I had a DevOps background after that. When I left, I did a pretty typical DevOps role, starting off help desk, sysadmin, up and up and up and up and up, until I got the opportunity to be an engineering manager at 2 defense startups in London. And I am now developer advocate at Roadmap.sh. Who has heard of that? One. Are you lying? You have heard of it. Okay, awesome. Those that haven't then, I'll go back. Some numbers. The Roadmap.sh project on GitHub is the number 7th project on the entire platform. And it is founded by the number 2 user on the entire platform as well. It's got around about 4 to 6 million visits per month and 1.3 million registered users, 100% free, open core. We love it. He's gone. Open source guy's gone. He'll love it. So what are we going to talk about? In my eyes, software engineering is extremely well documented. How to get into it, what it is, how to exit it if you want to, become freelance, etc. Right? However, the transition between an engineer and a manager is not necessarily that well documented. There's some great books out there. Sarah Drasner, anyone know her? She wrote a fantastic book that I bought when I became a manager. However, this whole talk is based around the premise that I failed quite a lot. I failed quite a lot in engineering management, so I'll tell you a few things that hopefully will stop you failing as well. So I'm going to talk for about 20 minutes, less now. I'll introduce a framework that I developed to try and get buy-in from people. That's the most important thing to take away from this. And I'm not going to do a Steve Ballmer, developers, yeah, but I probably will sweat. Cool, let's start by teaching you to suck eggs, unfortunately. We will go through what is an individual contributor and then a manager, just for those here that aren't engineers. Individual contributor, typically, asterisk on typically, will focus on personal tasks and implementation of those tasks. They'll operate within a predefined scope, typically given to them by an engineering manager. The EM, however, has a pretty diverse set of responsibilities spread across people, engineering, and product. And this role can vary significantly between organizations and companies. So we'll break it down a little bit deeper, and this entire slide here is based on my personal experience as an engineering manager. Don't take it as gospel. People was the main thing, and what you focus on here is hiring, retaining, and promoting. If you take nothing away from this presentation, I want you to take away the retaining part of this. Every single action you take as an engineering manager should feed back into the retention of engineering talent in some way, shape, or form. Okay? So get that one in your head. Don't forget about it. After that, we have the typical performance reviews, well-being, team culture, one-to-ones, etc. Okay? And going on to product, we have product managers, product owners in a lot of companies, but startups, guess who's doing a lot of the product? You, engineering manager. You're going to do that typically. This goes really from transitioning lofty product goals down into actionable tasks, then slicing them up, putting them in sprints, and adding some resource management onto that. I think this image is a fantastic representation of what an engineering manager should be. Let's say the curling stone is your team of engineers. You should be the one in front, making sure no obstacles get in their way, and they reach their target. Feel free to steal that analogy if you want. So new skills. During this transitional phase, what new skills should you be thinking about? We have a responsibility shift, and we have enhancement in communications. Who's here has heard of maker time? Maker time and manager time. Show of hands. 1. Oops. Okay, maker time. This is what you as an individual contributor should be doing realistically. Maybe a team stand-up, deep focus on your work. Lunch, deep focus on your work. I see he's laughing. It doesn't happen. As a manager, your entire day should look pretty chaotic because you are the shield so that they can achieve maker time. Yeah? Should. That's the whole point of this talk. But something's missing, potentially, from the manager time. You may note that I put no deep focus time for any technical tasks in here. And that may be a hot take by myself, but if you're an engineering manager with at least 10 people on your team, I don't believe you have time to be getting stuck in and doing actual engineering tasks. Think about it. 10 people, that's 2 one-to-ones every day of a week. Yeah, then you got all the shield stuff. You can't do it. You'll do a disservice to them, in my opinion. If you want to grab that, you can grab it. I drew this myself, by the way. Excalibur. Cool, let's talk enhanced communication then. This is a massive point that I learned by, again, failing. Nothing's up there yet, bear with it. As a manager, you cannot just randomly say things into a chat or an email because you can ruin someone's day. And it is true. Let's take a best friend. Can we talk? Sure, no worries. Let's take a manager who came out of nowhere saying the exact same thing. It doesn't read quite the same, does it? Chances are you're going to have about 5 minutes of anxiety before you join that call, but on his end, he's been deep in work, he's pivoted to his laptop, can we talk? Means nothing by it. Context shift. Again, expertly drawn by myself. The top image is what people think context shifting is. They think you can be at a baseline, dip, and go straight back into it again, when in actuality, we know that's not the truth. The bottom one is much more the truth. You dip, you struggle to get back up again, someone pulls you away again, you struggle, you never quite reach baseline again. Yeah? You can't really stop this, but as a manager, you can understand that if you remember back to the maker time one, if you have a one-to-one with them, put it at the start of the day. Yeah? Put it at the end of the day. Don't ruin their morning by putting a one-to-one at 11 a.m. because you're going to ruin their deep focus. Mindset. 2 things here, ego and how you should redefine success as a manager. I can guarantee the vast majority of people that become managers will enter it with some form of ego. This can come in 2 forms. 1, there is absolutely no way my team can operate without me there holding their hand. Or there's the polar opposite, which I suffered from quite a lot. They are surviving without me, which makes me completely redundant, right? Why am I here? Well, not the truth. If you put the systems in place, you put the work in place, you are a force multiplier for that team. You should be able to leave and go away and not have them be impacted by you. Fraction of a story time here. I actually spent the first month of my paternity leave attending stand-ups for my team. Because I thought that I was doing myself a good thing by attending the stand-ups and getting some routine, and I thought they might like me there. You know, why wouldn't they want me there? You know? But it turns out they didn't want me there. No. Shifting, redefining success as a manager. Okay? I thought this was humorous to myself, but put it in. I had to find somewhere to put it, so I put it here. It is the team's successes and your failures. Yeah, this shifts back into retention. This is all about advocating for the team. Try things like, instead of we succeeded and implemented something, it's not we, it's them. They did something really, really well. Polar opposite of that, instead of saying, oh boss, they failed massively in this sprint, they didn't deliver what they should have. Guess who scoped the sprint? You did. You're the one that told them what to do, and you're the one that defined the time frame. So it's your fault. Yeah? Their success, your failures. So preparation for making the transition then. We've got 3 things here. We've got an internal advantage, demonstrating leadership, and then demonstrating communications. Again, yours truly. This diagram, correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe it's extremely difficult to go from being an engineer in company A to just interviewing for an engineering manager in company B. They're taking on a lot of risk if they do that. If they hire you without knowing who you are, they're taking on a lot of risks that you can manage their people and drive their product forwards. So, this leads me on to what I think is the best way to do it, and that is achieving the transition within the same company that you're in. That's what I did, that's what I believe the best way to do it is. Demonstrating leadership. Classic manager versus leader. You can't just be one of them, you have to be both of them. Sometimes we'll call for you to be a manager. Sometimes we'll call for you to be a leader. And if there is managers here, probably some engineers now, a way that I allowed my team to demonstrate leadership was every single sprint, I would extract one engineer from my team, like the Sims, so you just pick them up and they wobble around. I would drop them next to me for about 1 to 2 hours of that sprint. And I'd have them plan the next sprint with me. Let's take those tasks, let's break them down, let's assign them. What do you think? What do I think? It gives them more time with me, and it lets me see how good of a leader they are and how good of an engineering manager they can be. Because ultimately, you're going to need this because you're going to be the one advocating for his promotion when it comes to it. So it's important that you get these kind of things down. And the same goes for communication. Funnily enough, Grok, by the way, not real people, mind-blowing. Communication is the same thing. I would take those same engineers and they'd be the ones delivering the demo at the end of the sprint. Pretty simple, really. It doesn't take any effort. You have them join you for the planning. They then go away with everyone else and execute. And at the end, they come back out, they stand next to you, they deliver the demo. That's good for you, it's good for them, and it's more importantly, it's good for the CTO and others that will see them doing this. So again, when it comes to advocating for them, everybody already knows who they are. Yeah. But again, not all managers will do this, so ask your manager if you can do it. Okay, this brings me on to the framework part of it. Still not really sure why I called it this, it just seemed fitting at the time. I mentioned at the very beginning that I started my career of 12 years in the army. Typically in that environment, and I have seen it since, it is usually the loudest and most confident person who has success. Or at least the one who's heard, right? So this whole framework revolves around getting buy-in from people. This could be a pitch, this could be me right now, this could be you just talking to your boss on a one-to-one, okay? 7 stages of it. We have relationships, deep dives, value propositions, visual aids, preemptive problem solving, confidence, and adaptation. I will go through them kind of fast, so don't worry about it. Relationships. At this point, you're a manager, okay? And it's time to grow up. You do require business relationships with people that you might not get along with, yeah? If you think right now in your head what single person or single department in your company could potentially railroad you if they wanted to, then you should probably build a relationship with them. For me, it was always HR, number one, always, and the design team. I can't have my team implement a feature if it's not designed, right? So I'd always try and make friends with them. You are competing against other people for their attention, remember. Deep dives. Ironically, I shouldn't have to deep dive too much into this one, but if you're going to pitch something, look at the people that talked today. Yeah, I'm pretty sure you did a deep dive before you deliver the topic, right? It's important that you do that for obvious reasons. Value propositions. Typically, if you're in this position, you're going to be speaking to people in the company that are directors of engineering, heads of department. Every single one of them is going to have a value tied to something in the business. Finance is pretty obvious. HR probably want headcount. The CTO wants the next best thing. It's really important to tie your pitch in with whatever they value. Anybody get the irony? Visual aids, prototypes. If you don't have any sort of visual aid, prototype, even a link to the URL of what you're trying to explain, they're going to be not very interested. Preemptive problem solving. I guarantee some people in this room right now have gone up to someone really excited about something. You've spent ages telling them, and they've come to you and just asked you one question that's destroyed your entire thing. Yeah, because you didn't think about it. And chances are, if you're at this stage and you're planning and you're trying to think of these problems that could arise, if you find a problem that you can't solve, then guess what? It's not a good idea. So you've saved yourself the embarrassment. Confidence should be an obvious one. I'm pretty confident, I don't mean to say that, pretty confident that a really poor pitch can be saved by somebody very confident, and vice versa. If you have a great idea, but you deliver it in a defeated attitude, not loud, not confident, it's not going to come across very well. And the final one, adaptability. At this stage, you will just come out of a fork in the road. You've either been successful or you've failed. You can learn from both of these things, yeah, every single time. This entire presentation is about me adapting to the failures that I had when I was an engineering manager. I failed so many times, but I tried to fix it. Next company tried to fix it, and now I don't do it anymore. So let that be a lesson. Thank you.